the agents of Dreadfane.
Dreadfane?
Yes, Dreadfane.
Yes, the exciting and unexpected announcement, by me at least, from New York Toy Fair today was that Games Workshop have announced a new Warhammer Underworlds game called
Dreadfane.
Exactly, Dreadfane. Now, Pete, as you can see, is fully endorsing this product.
Yep.
And we're sort of excited about it and sort of like WTF about it, really, aren't we?
Yeah, just more than a little. The text on it seems to suggest it's like a cut down version of a cut down version of a cut down version of a game, but
well, yes, as one of our patrons said, it's Underworlds was a cut down version of a skirmish game, which is a cut down version of an AOS game. So Dreadfane is a cut down, like Pete just said, a cut down version of a cut down version of a cut down version of a cut down version. I think
just
so.
That with snakes and ladders and a couple of Stormcast and a couple of Banshees, as I think they said. So
yeah,
thanks Ed for that one. We're going to plagiarise that one.
So yeah, what do we think of it? I think we're both a bit confused as to how it's going to be a cut down version, especially as it seems to have more cards.
Yeah, it's got an extra whole stack of cards, which I think they're using for their I can't remember what they describe it as, but like environmental things such as falling meteorites and beams of magical energy and stuff like that.
Yes, that's right. So it's got they're slightly bigger red cards, so they're bigger than the standard Shadespire card, presumably, so you don't try and sneak them into your Warhammer Underworlds deck or something. And also, presumably, so you have to buy different card sleeves.
Oh, no!
Yeah, I wonder whether they're a little bit like, I think, Blitzbowl. I wonder whether this game's designed by the Blitzbowl guy. That has a rolling objective thing, I seem to remember. I don't know whether these are objectives, but they're just things to avoid and kind of things that change the game dynamically, I think, which is interesting. It would actually make it more complicated.
It does. It adds another element rather than remove an element. I think you noticed earlier that there are no spell dice on the board, so neither side has any casters, so that removes one mild element of confusion from the game. But it seems to have every other element. You can see that there are 3 objectives on either side. So it seems to be exactly the same. You've got 3 objectives on either side, 5 power cards on both sides. You know, it all seems to be the same, other than
4 turn counters.
4 turn counters, yeah.
On the board, I think the board is different. A couple of things about the board. The first thing is I think it might just be, if it's not a single piece, I think it might only have one orientation, because if you look in the middle, you can see there's a grill and it goes across the 2 things, and I just wonder whether so it has to go that way, otherwise that grill...
It fits too neatly as well.
Yeah.
I suspect that whilst the board is the same size as a normal board, so it's 5 hexes deep and 8 hexes wide, I think it's just going to be a fold in the middle job, or possibly a quad folding sort of board. It'll fold in the middle and half of either side as well, but I think it's all one piece.
Yeah, the way it's put is very symmetrical on there. Then there aren't quite so many starting hexes, but I suppose you've only got 3 and 4 models.
Yes, that's true.
For starting hexes. How many objective counters are there?
Are
there 5? 1, 2... I can see 4. Where's the 5th one?
Behind one of the secretors.
Oh, I see him. Yes. So that's the other thing. There are less models than we're used to seeing, or less models for the Nighthawks. There's only 4 of those.
Yep, and 5 Banshees.
And only 3 Stormcast. So I think the Banshees, I think the Stormcast Secretors are probably a little bit worse than the Cursebreaker sort of model.
They could be, yeah. I think they'll be slightly,
And the Banshees, I assume their starting profile is probably a little bit better than most of the Nighthawks.
Yeah, I'm assuming you're going to get 4 slightly more, not quite Briar Queen, but a bit more Varclav sort of situationally powerful characters. And they are Iron Soul's Condemnors and Lady Harrow's Mournflight.
I should say they do very evocative sounding names. I give Games Workshop their due for that. So people were at pains to say, or rather Nick on Facebook I saw was at pains to say that this isn't anything to do with Season 3. This is literally a standalone game. You know, I noticed on the box it just says 2, so I'm guessing there's no possibility of combining sets to make a bigger game.
Yeah.
But it's not Season 3.
Because it's just a single board piece.
Yeah. But it is going to bring 2 new warbands to the game, which is interesting.
Yes, and those warbands are going to be usable in Nightfall / Shadespire, you know, within the Underworlds general, and you are going to be able to bring your warbands from those into this.
Yes, I haven't crunched the numbers yet, because I know there are more cards in Nightfall. I haven't crunched the numbers to work out whether they're accounted for, but I assume those numbers are accounted for because they've redone the Echoes of Glory and the Stormcast.
It's Garrick and Steelheart.
So I assume these will get their own numbers as well.
Well, I assume, I haven't done the numbers, but I don't think there's enough in there for a whole new set of 60 cards, or it would be 120 cards from these guys.
It would.
And 120 from the other two warbands, which are still on their way, which are, of course, the Sylvaneth and the Sky Dwarves. So,
no, I think you're right.
I think we might end up with like a bit like the Leaders Pack was a sort of a side pack, which got added in after Shadespire. I think this one might be a similar sort of venture where you're going to get another chunk of cards which don't go in the normal numerical sequence. Now, whether they're usable or not in normal tournaments will be another thing.
I think they implied that they were. So I assume, because it says about taking them into the main game once you've mastered Dreadfane, that they will be fully compatible. And it even says they're going to release them at a later date for people who don't want to buy Dreadfane as well, the warband. Yes. So I assume they're going to be fully compatible, and that the cards will just be yet another choice of cards to swap in and out with the rest of more cards. Can't cope with the number of cards, and maybe that'll be the beginning of a new BAR list, but that's a whole other discussion.
And these have been announced in a similar fashion too, as you mentioned, Blitz Bowl and things like that. And of course, those games weren't available in the UK, so there'll be a question mark as to whether this game's available in the UK or not. Possibly not, and it will be like a US Germany type deal again, and you can just buy the warbands in the UK.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, a couple of other people have asked that question on various official Games Workshop Facebook threads, I noticed, and they've been quite coy about it. They haven't said yay and they haven't said nay. I noticed if we go scrolling up on the announcement page, I'll put a link in the description below, the Stormvault game, which is like a retooling of the Lord of the Rings game. That's almost identical, and there's a 40k game which doesn't really look anything like the 40k game they released, but it's another 40k game.
But it does look like Gore Chosen, which was a game they released a couple of years ago, which was all Khorne based, and it was arena combat, very similar to that.
Okay, it's a similar small box, or the Space Marine Adventures games that they released. Yeah. And they were all not through Games Workshop, not in the UK, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
Stormvault obviously has a little tie-in that you noticed as well.
I did. It has got a little Warhammer Underworlds tie-in. If you look at the cards down there at the bottom, I'll flash up the picture. If you look at the cards, you've got what looks like I've got Stormsire there. Sanson's there with his bird, and he's standing on a log. And I think it's at Rastus or Amis, one of the two. And the other one is Eagle Eye, I think, or possibly Swiftblade. He's got a big blade, so it must be Swiftblade. Have they got different names? They do. It doesn't say. Yeah, it doesn't say Bob Stormsire there, does it?
And one of them's got named Hawkseye instead of
Fast Rider.
Fast
Rider, yeah. So interesting. So they're toiling out. Well, I suppose the spirits of Stormcast have reforged or whatever. Maybe they get a new name if they want when they do that. Yeah, new name. No, I'll stick with Samson this time. New name. Yeah, I just got beaten by the Gits. I'm going to change. So I think that's probably all we need to say, isn't it, Pete?
I am intrigued by this game. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what Dreadfane gives us.
Yeah, but that's not how it's pronounced, is it, Pete? How's it pronounced?
Dreadfane.
Exactly, and I think we'll definitely be trying to bring it to you guys as and when it comes available.
And I'm a bit disappointed. Some other people have noted as well that the models do come from the Stormstrike box set.
Right, they do, yes.
They're not new models, they've been recycled from that. And I think they're the ones that you actually sometimes get given in store to paint when you go and you go, I want to paint a model, what do I do?
Okay.
And they might be the ones they give you.
Pete, get out, they say.
Yeah, pretty much. We're not giving you any more free stuff to leech. But they are still nice models. I mean, you can't fault them. They are nice models. It is a bit, it's Stormcast again, but Stormcast are their big line. They are the Space Marines of
exactly.
AOS, so they're going to do
it ties in with Soul Wars as well.
Exactly.
The AOS thing. So I think you probably were lucky if you're going to get anything else. Certainly saw somebody moaning about not having any lizard men. That's just not going to happen.
No, I don't think it's ever going to happen, frankly.
No.
They know what sells, so they're going to put things like, say, they're going to put Stormcast in there because they're one of their big pushes. So there you go.
Yeah, and they're always going to retool old miniatures or even existing miniatures for these intro games because it just makes sense.
Definitely.
Because the miniatures are great, and if you're new to the game, you've not seen them before. So
yeah, definitely.
You don't need new ones.
And if you go out and you buy a box of these from just AOS, and then you see there's a game where you can use them, then there's another temptation there to get that game, and then you can throw your model straight into it.
So I think that's all we need to say. I think I already said that, and we said some more, but I think really this time it really
and
is all we
another
need to say. So we will hopefully bring you some more news about Dreadfane and some games of Dreadfane when it comes out. until the next time in Mirror City, will just say I have noticed this game has got dice, Pete, which probably puts you at a severe disadvantage.
No, for that reason I'm out. Sorry, I'm done. I was interested until you mentioned dice.
Right, well, hopefully Pete's luck will improve as we continue our journey through the Mirror City. But until then, we'll see you then.